What's it like for you as a sort of photographer, visual guy? What's it like touring with a band from your perspective in terms of what roles you have, and how working with a band that's sort of the main focus as working part of their team? How does that work for you? How do you find that?
Yeah, so joining a band on tour can involve many things on a smaller level, like with Mirrors. I'm aware of the hurdles those guys might have because they don't have such a big crew. So whether it's like, yes, I'm a media content creator, but I will help load in, load out, make sure that we're getting to the airport on time or ironing out any issues since I have the experience of being on the road with the boys. So it goes beyond just being the media guy. But the actual media role of stuff, I want to make sure I capture not just the show and the guys looking great on stage. I want to capture their personalities as well, because each band has a character in it or someone that the public will love to see more of rather than them just being on stage doing their thing. So I've always got a camera on me, and whether we're getting lunch or dinner, I'm capturing all those moments, and they're often the best photos too because a lot of people relate to them a lot more. So yeah, that's on tour. It's almost like a 24/7 job because whether it's a 5 a.m. wake up call to get to the airport and you got to catch all their sleepy heads and help them get all the gear in the car, or it's 1 a.m. loadout and it's freezing cold outside, and we're all struggling together. And then on the other hand, it's a very similar experience with a larger band. It's just I don't have to load in and out boxes of merch or their guitars. So yeah, that's the general gist of it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love the candid shots and stuff. We're always talking about it'd be awesome having someone that's just always there
Yeah.
to catch those moments because there's a lot of funny stuff. And
Like fly on the wall kind of thing, isn't it? It's just kind of being as if you were sort of following the band around and, as you say, seeing their personalities come
I
out.
love
And
the idea of capturing personalities and exactly as you said, like when they're on stage, it's that their own personal independence and stuff that's unique to them, as opposed to just I'm a band member playing a song. So that's great.
That's really cool. I didn't realize also how much a part of the team that you become, like you said, helping out with the load in parts and doing things that are really sort of outside your job scope normally. I really like the idea that everyone sort of bands in together and helps each other. Do you find that everyone sort of becomes like a bit of a crew on the road and sort of pitches in and works together in that role and aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what you'll find is people who have been doing it for many years understand that it isn't this glamorous thing with hotels every night. So everyone understands the struggle. It's usually the fresh faced people who kind of come in and go, "Oh no, I'm just here to take photos." It's like, "Nah, mate, jump on,
Yeah,
grab a
Yeah.
handle,
100%.
help us get this into the venue." So and like again, as you say, the more hands, the quicker it gets done and the easier it gets done. So there's no point in me rocking up to the airport at 6 a.m. and there's 20 different bags we've got to check in, and me just wandering off and sitting on my phone for 20 minutes whilst everyone does that. I think that's kind of silly.
Yeah, man, for sure.
It's an ethical thing too, and it's great networking. It makes you just generally a good bloke for just wanting to step in there and be a part of it. I'm sure it helps with the morale and it makes everything go smoother and makes everyone feel like a unit and more as a team. I would totally agree, and I think that's awesome. So
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
100%,
cool, man.
100%.
With your work, obviously, you've got the show and you've got the lead up and sort of, as you say, going for lunch and things like this, in and out of inside and outside the show. You're constantly filming and capturing all this content, and then I presume there's the other side of it where you have to then take and sift through all this content and then edit and come up with these videos in time for releases and in time for promotional material and things like this and other tours. So how do you juggle the editing side of things as well and deadlines in particular with various projects, and how do you kind of juggle all of that whilst being on the road, or is there more downtime, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, so for this particular tour with Mirrors and sometimes with other bands, it's kind of we've got a rotating headline slot. So Mirrors will sometimes be main support, and then sometimes I'll headline. So if they're the main support for the night, and I don't need to photograph the headlining band, since we can't load out of the venue, I'll just go backstage for an hour and sit down and knock over as many photos as I can. So I just get ahead of it, because I just know that we've got that 5 a.m. wake up call, and I'm not going to want to edit photos on the aeroplane or at the airport because I'm just too tired. So I try to get ahead of it as best as I can. In terms of managing other jobs and juggling other jobs, most of them are done on weekends, which is obviously when the gigs are. So if I've got to shoot a music video or anything, funny enough, on this last Mirrors tour, it's been pretty brutal, like flying into Perth and then Adelaide. Then I had to fly into Sydney the next day for a music video shoot, which was on a Monday, which is a rarity.
Yeah.
So some bands make the exception and we shoot during the week, and it's just the hardest part of my job is just managing expectations. So if somebody needs something by a certain time, I go, okay, we can probably do it, 24 hours later, or we can, why don't you try and give them options so they can consider and go, hey, maybe this is a better plan of attack, rather than, them just giving me, this is the only option, we want it now. I go, well, think about it this way. So just managing expectations and giving options is usually the best way to handle all those things when they come crashing in at once.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, time management would be really important, as well as probably having to book future jobs well ahead of time, I would assume, as well.
Yeah. Particularly the last 12 months, it's been almost planned out that far in advance, which is kind of crazy for a freelance creative. I think the biggest thing is, again, just managing those expectations, because I've had bands go, yeah, we want to release in September, and they're emailing me in January, and September rolls around, they still haven't released, and I've been bending over backwards to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, just like either I'm stressing or they're stressing, and it never comes to a head.
It's just a stressful industry.
Yeah, and it's
age
just people. Exactly. Again, it's just people going, oh, this is the perfect time to release, so we have to release it now. And it's like, well, maybe it wasn't.